In this video, we are going to talk about how we can use conditionals to make a timer. So I first just want to remind you that this is our structure of a conditional. Let me grab my laser pointer. So we have the word if, then we always have parentheses with some sort of condition in it, and curly brackets. Else if, parentheses with another condition, curly brackets, and then else does not have parentheses. I want to remind you what we talked about last week, which was that if a conditional set, so like an if, an else if, and an else, if the first condition is satisfied, then the code will never look at the other two conditions. Okay, so we are going to try coding. I would love for you to open up a blank editor and title it 1.06 selection and timers. Just a reminder that you should pause this video, rewind this video, do whatever you need so you get this information. And I'm going to make a new one. Okay, so here we are. What I'm going to start by doing is I'm going to start by making an ellipse. Ultimately, what's going to happen is I'm going to have an ellipse starting down here, and then I'm going to have a timer for, 5 seconds. And when the timer runs out of time, the ellipse is going to start rising up. So I'll add that as a note. Make an ellipse at the bottom of the canvas. Have a timer for 5 seconds. When the timer is done, the ellipse rises. So we're going to start by making an ellipse, and I'm just going to set it at 200, 400, and I'm going to make it 10. It's very small. And since ultimately this ellipse is going to be rising, we are going to need to make a variable for this y because it's going to be going up. So I'm going to go ahead to the top. None of this should be new for you, and I'm going to make a variable for the y position. And I'm going to start it at, we're at 400, so I'm just going to start it at 400. Okay. Okay, so we are going to make a timer. So I am going to move my canvas over, and I'm going to come up to the top, and I'm going to make a variable for the timer, var timer 1. This is a variable to hold the timer's number of seconds. And then in the setup, I'm going to start off with timer 1 equals, and I'm going to say 5. So timer is starting with 5 seconds. You can do a bigger number than that. You can do 10, you can do 15, you can do 20, you can do whatever, but please note that then you're going to be pressing play and you're going to be waiting that number of seconds. So I suggest a smaller number. Okay, I'm going to come into my draw function. To make a timer, we need 2 conditionals. So for our first conditional, okay, we need to check if there is still time on the timer and that a second has gone by. If so, take 1 second off the timer. And I'm also just going to remind you that the draw function runs about 60 times a second. Meaning, if 60 draws have happened, 1 second has gone by. And I don't know if you know, but we can use frame count to keep track of the number of draws. Okay, so if parentheses, curly brackets, you know that's how I set myself up. If there is still time on the timer, so if my timer is not yet at 0, so if my timer 1 is greater than 0, and if a second has gone by, and the way we're going to check, it's going to look a little bit weird, I want you to go with me, is if frame count %60 equals 0. For right now, you don't need to worry too much about this, but what it means, what you can know, is it checks if the frame count or the number of draws is a multiple of 60. Has it been 60 draws, 120 draws, 180 draws? Because all of that means it will have been a second. So if there's still time on the timer and a second has gone by, I want to take a second off. So I'm going to do timer 1 minus equals 1. And just in case, I just want to remind you, this would be the same as this. And I'm going to console.log the timer. Four, 3, 2, 1, 0. And you'll notice it stops at 0. The reason it stops at 0 is because at that point, timer 1 is no longer greater than 0, and so it won't keep going. So this is our first conditional. Our second conditional says if the timer is done, make some action occur. So I'm going to set up my conditional again. Okay, so if my timer 1 is equal to 0, for right now, I'm going to console.log beep beep. Four, 3, 2, 1, 0, beep beep. Now what's cool about this now is once the timer goes off, I can have whatever action I wanted. So we talked about getting the Y to move up. So I could take my Y position variable and I could subtract 1. So now we see it again, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and it's moving up. What's really powerful about this is this timer can be used to do anything. So for instance, I could make another variable for the width. I could make a variable called LW. And I could say LW is going to equal to 10 because that's what we're starting at. And I'm going to replace the width with it. And then in my timer, once my timer is gone, I could say that I want LW to increase by 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. And now you'll notice it's going up and getting bigger. It's getting bigger really, really fast. So maybe I decrease that to 0.5. But 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there you go. It is moving up and out of the canvas. I'm excited to see what you can make. Let me know what questions you have.